Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 24th of January 2025. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So a very bullish day today in the US with regards to crypto regulations and I guess like how the new admin is treating crypto. And honestly, so far Trump has actually stuck to his word on being, pro crypto and doing things that benefit the crypto ecosystem. I'm sure a lot of you saw that he gave Ross Ulbricht, I think that's how you say his name, or Ulbricht, a full pardon, which means Ross is now free. He's no longer in prison serving, I believe it was 2 life sentences or something like that. So he's now free, and that was also one of Trump's campaign promises there. So, obviously credit where credit is due on that one. But on top of that, not just with Ross, obviously you guys know Ross ran Silk Road back in the day, and that's why he was in prison. That's why he's, I guess, like a crypto folk legend, essentially. But there was a slew of different executive orders that were signed today by Trump, and Eleanor actually has the details here in her tweet. So there was an executive order signed to establish a working group for digital asset markets. The working group will be tasked with developing a federal regulatory framework governing digital assets, including stablecoins, and evaluating the creation of a strategic national digital asset stockpile. So that goes to a lot of the people talking about a national Bitcoin reserve or a strategic Bitcoin reserve or a strategic Ethereum reserve, so on and so forth. So far, it seems like that they're not going to be buying any crypto assets. They're just going to be holding on to the ones that they already have, and pretty much like most of those were, if not all of those, were seized from criminals. And I believe that, or seized in criminal cases, I believe that they have about $20 billion worth of BTC that belonged mostly to Silk Road. I think MT Gox as well. There was a few others kind of out there that they've seized. And I believe they have a couple $100 million worth of ETH and a slew of other assets, but like not in very much dollar terms there. So yeah, that's what they're doing right now. But hopefully this obviously paths the way to a digital asset reserve of BTC, ETH, and really, I don't know if I'd put anything else into that basket. I may be biased here, but I don't think anything else really belongs in that basket in terms of its strategic importance for the US, at least not yet, in my opinion. Stablecoins wouldn't make any sense going in there because they're basically just US dollars or treasuries or, cash equivalents that already back up those stablecoins, so it wouldn't really make sense to do that. But ETH, staked ETH, maybe? I don't know. I feel like that would be maybe too risky because staked ETH is tied to different protocols here, ST ETH, RETH, etc. But it's a brave new world, so we'll see what happens there. The working group is going to be chaired by the White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs. You guys already know who he is, and include the Secretary of the Treasury, the Chairman of the SEC, and the heads of other relevant department and agencies. The White House and AI and crypto czar will engage leading experts in digital assets and digital markets to ensure that the actions of the working group are informed by experts. The executive order directs departments and agencies with identifying and making recommendations to the working group. It prohibits agencies from undertaking any action to establish, issue, or promote central bank digital currencies. This is pretty huge, to be honest. It means that the US will not be pursuing a CBDC for the foreseeable future until, I don't know, maybe this gets overturned or until the Democrats are back in power. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know how long this would kind of last for, but it is a pretty big statement to say that or I guess like executive order to say that it's now prohibited for the US to pursue issuing a CBDC, which is obviously good news for native crypto assets here. And also the executive order revokes the previous admin's digital assets executive order and the Treasury Department's framework for international engagement on digital assets, which suppressed innovation and undermined US economic liberty and global leadership in digital finance. So a complete and total 180 here, guys, from what we saw under Democratic leadership. And I'll be honest, like you guys know that I've been quite, I guess, like harsh on politicians in the past, especially ones that make a lot of promises, because a lot of them do make a lot of promises and don't tend to follow through. But I'll be honest here, guys, I did not expect Trump to follow through this quickly on all of his promises. This is like day 3 or day 4 of his presidency, and he's already followed through on his crypto promises, or at least made some movements to start following through on them. But we've already gotten, the first 3 days is better than anything we saw under the Democrats in the last 4 years, which is just amazing to see, and I'm hoping that that can continue. And on top of all of this, Trump also, or sorry, not Trump, but the SEC repealed the SARB 121 regulation, which means that banks can now custody crypto assets. So that is huge in of itself, because it means that banks can now offer direct crypto products, essentially, and custody them for their customers there, which opens up the crypto industry to a whole new set of participants. The ETFs opened it up to, a bunch of people, but now the banks can do it directly, not just through the ETFs, but through other products. So that's a big win there as well. So it seems like things looking bullish in the US, very bullish, honestly, in the US, a total 180, as I said. And it seems like at least probably the next 2 years until the midterms, we're going to have a very nice crypto-friendly US admin. And hey, if the Republicans win the midterms, then we're going to have 4 years of it. And if they win the next presidency, then we're going to have, potentially 6 or 8 years of it. So we'll see. And there's no guarantee that the Republicans are always going to be pro-crypto, mind you. I'm not trying to, I guess, talk politics here, but there's no guarantees in politics ever. But in saying that, what I've seen so far, I like it a lot. You can't really judge the long term based on the short term here, so we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that we're going to see actual proper regulations put in place for crypto. Not just, not just kind of like promises, not just words, proper guidance and regulations, so that the crypto industry can come home to the US. A lot of I guess people and companies fled the US because they knew that it was a hostile environment for them. But now that they can come home to the US and make the US a really great place to, run a crypto company, basically. So yeah, a lot of bullish news there to digest. I'm sure you guys have seen a bunch of threads on that and a bunch of people talking about that already. So I'm not going to go on about that too much there. But yeah, very positive news for all of crypto today. All right, another really big piece of positive and bullish news, this time pertaining to specifically Ethereum, was that Etherealize has come out of stealth. Now, this was the project that I was teasing on the last few refuels that I had been made aware of a little while ago, that I was following along with, and I was helping in any way that I can. I'm not directly involved with this project at all. I'm not, part of their team. I'm not an advisor or anything like that. I am just helping as an Ethereum, I guess, community member, you could call me. But what this is basically a institutional marketing and product arm for the Ethereum ecosystem. Etherealize's goal is to accelerate adoption by bringing institutions to Ethereum, the digital economy of tomorrow. All roads flow through ETH, and will show the world why. And just a bit more details about what they are currently doing. They are 8 full-time employees led by someone who has deep ties to TradFi. They are based in New York City, I believe, or New York State there. And they are going to go out to the TradFi world, to all the bankers, to all of the people running any kind of businesses or any kind of selling any kind of products within the TradFi ecosystem, and basically giving them the Ethereum pitch, essentially, right? Giving them the pitch for Ethereum, the network, giving them the pitch for ETH, the asset, which is obviously what I think we've been lacking within the Ethereum ecosystem, but Etherealize is really stepping up here. And I do want to note as well is that this effort is funded by the Ethereum Foundation and Vitalik directly, as well as others out there that haven't been named for obviously privacy-related reasons here. Maybe they'll reveal themselves at some point in the future. But I talked about this the other day when I was talking about the stuff with the Ethereum Foundation, about how the Ethereum Foundation is not going to do this stuff directly, but they are more than happy to fund new companies and new efforts doing this stuff. And they put their money where their mouth is. So yeah, they're directly involved with this in terms of funding. They'll probably be able to help this effort as well with connections, because the Ethereum Foundation does have a lot of connections to to ecosystems outside of crypto, of course, but I'm super excited for Etherealize generally. Now, if you want to go check out what Etherealize has already built, they have a really, really cool dashboard here that basically gives you an overview of ETH and Ethereum, the network. So you can see here, they're calling ETH a store of value with cash flow. This really kind of resonates with the TradFi folk. Maybe it's boring for us. Maybe it's boring for us to say that ETH is a store of value with cash flow because, you have meme coins here, you have degen stuff there, you have NFT stuff there, and that may be boring to crypto natives, but it is not boring to the TradFi world. They love this stuff. They love yield, they love cash flow, and they love things framed in such a way that they can buy it, it can act as a store of value, goes up against USD over time, and they can also get cash flow with that. And obviously, as you guys know, ETH's version of cash flow here is the staking yield, both from the consensus layer rewards, but as well as the execution layer rewards, which includes layer 1 transactions transaction fees, all the unburned fees, I should say, as well as the blob fees there. Now, of course, on the burn, they have a nice little graphic here showing the supply and issuance of Ethereum. So generally, the ETH, the new ETH issued, then the ETH burned, then what the net issuance looks like over different time frames. And then if you scroll down, they're covering the Ethereum economy. So they're covering tokenized assets, stablecoins, and assets in apps. Stablecoins should be a huge focus, I think, of this effort, because stablecoins are going to be huge. I mean, they're already big, but they're going to be so much bigger, guys. Like, we haven't even scratched the surface of how big stablecoins are going to be. They're going to be absolutely massive, and almost all of them live on Ethereum, right? And if you actually see here, it's kind of funny because you can see of the stablecoins, $126 billion lives on Ethereum. Tron has about $60 billion, and that's honestly, I mean, Tron was ahead of Ethereum for a little while there, but they've just completely fallen behind here. Ethereum is dominating stablecoins, and even Solana only has $10 billion of stablecoins on their network here, as opposed to the 126 billion on Ethereum, which obviously, and this includes Ethereum L1 plus 5 L2s, as they say here. So they are actually including Ethereum L2s, which, I mean, to be expected from an effort like Etherealize, but a lot of different data analytics platforms out there love to separate Ethereum and the L2s, which in my mind is not the right way to do it. The Ethereum economy is the aggregate of Ethereum L1 and the L2s out there. Obviously, you're not going to be including every L2, because a lot of L2s are just kind of dead and they don't really have any traction. But the top 5 L2s just kind of sets a limit there and says, okay, we're just going to look at the top 5 or maybe even the top 10 L2s, and we'll include them here. So yeah, when it comes to stablecoins, Ethereum absolutely dominates, right? And then tokenized assets as well. Ethereum is still small. It's at $4 billion, but the other networks have basically nothing. There is $135 million on Solana, which is basically nothing. There's nothing on Tron. Avalanche, Sui have very, very small amounts of tokenized assets and stablecoins. And then assets in apps, aka TVL, we know Ethereum dominates that as well. So this, again, is a perfect way to sell Ethereum, the Ethereum economy, the Ethereum network, to the traditional finance ecosystem, because you're basically showing them that there is demand for real sustainable assets like stablecoins, like real world assets, and that continues to grow there. They also give an overview here of the different Ethereum L2s, so the ones that they're kind of tracking here. So there's Base, OP Mainnet, Arbitrum, ZK Sync, Scroll, and Linear. And you can see that here, and you see the little graphs. ETH's value accrual, so they've got the L2s, how the L2s drive value to ETH, Ethereum fee revenue, and as measured in ETH and USD, and L2 fees here. So this dashboard will get better over time. But I believe the whole point of this dashboard is to make it appealing to the TradFi world, to Wall Street, not to crypto degens, not to, not to all the meme coiners, not to any of that sort of stuff. We've already got plenty of stuff that we can look at. We don't need this sort of stuff for us, but we need this stuff for the TradFi ecosystem, for the people outside of crypto. And the Etherealize homepage is also really awesome. I love the way that they've just kind of framed this. It's a very professional looking website, going over, what Ethereum is, what ETH is, not filling them with jargon or anything like that, just really speaking their language here. And basically, this is their mission statement here: connecting institutions to the Ethereum ecosystem, which is really great to see. So yeah, obviously I'm super bullish on Etherealize, not directly involved, as I said, just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that, because I had a lot of people actually thinking that I'm directly involved with this. I'm not. And that's not to say I wouldn't love to be, but I don't have the time to be directly involved in anything. But I am helping them as best I can with anything that they need help with. Basically, I'm always there to help them with that. But you should get involved as well if you want to. You can follow them on Twitter, maybe shoot them a DM if you want. I don't know if their DMs are actually open. I'm going to check here. Yeah, they're open for me because they follow me. I don't know if they're open for everyone, but regardless, there will be opportunities to be involved with this effort as time goes on. All right, Vitalik has a fresh and timely blog post today titled Scaling Ethereum L1 and L2s in 2025 and Beyond. This is essentially a summary of all of the, not all of but like the high level efforts going on to scale Ethereum at L1 and at L2, as well as some kind of like ideas around how to accelerate that and what should be prioritized versus what shouldn't be prioritized. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole post. You can read it for yourself. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. But one thing I did want to cover is that Vitalik actually made a mention definition of ETH, the asset in this post, which I really like. And I basically tweeted at him with the paragraph that he used in the post, where he said, we should think explicitly about the economics of ETH. We need to make sure that ETH continues to accrue value even in an L2 heavy world, ideally solving for a variety of models of how value accrual happens. And then I replied by saying, thanks for including this in the post. While obviously L1 and L2 scalability is critically important for users and developers, ETH accruing value is important for the entire network. After all, the entire network is secured by ETH, and ETH is the economic bandwidth that fuels DeFi. I really hope that more and more people kind of start banging the drum on this, especially people like Vitalik, especially people at the Ethereum Foundation, people with legitimacy, people with merit, because it shouldn't be taboo to basically pump ETH, honestly. Like, I'm just going to be straight. It shouldn't be taboo to pump ETH. ETH is the heart of the entire ecosystem. As I showcased, I think like maybe a couple of months ago now, Josh Stark, who's on the EF leadership team, he created this yin and yang image of Ethereum as the world computer and ETH as money, right? They are yin and yang. They're directly linked. You can't unbundle the two. They are one and the same. They are in a symbiotic relationship, and they deserve to be promoted together. And I don't, as I said, think that it's dirty to pump ETH in any way. I think that ETH, if anything, is the fairest kind of token that you could actually promote, given the fact that it was sold through a completely public ICO, and it has been publicly available for a very long time now. There were no insiders, there were no VCs. Yes, there was a quote-unquote pre-mine, but that went to the developers, right? So technically the pre-mine went into the ICO participants as well, but in terms of what the developers gave themselves, it was a very small amount of ETH. In dollar terms at the time, absolutely tiny. And then in terms of what the team members gave themselves were also tiny as well, like the founders, for example. Vitalik owns a very small percentage of ETH. The Ethereum Foundation has a very small percentage of ETH left, and they didn't really start with that much. And they've been diluted over time with the mining rewards, with the staking rewards as well there, especially because they haven't staked their ETH, actually. As you guys know, that's something that the community's been in uproar about. But that's why I'm saying that, like, we should be pumping ETH, shouldn't feel dirty pumping ETH. And yes, okay, pumping ETH and ETH going up in value means that people make more money, but what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. This whole ecosystem runs on that. And DeFi is, you guys know this is a very strong opinion of mine, DeFi is the value prop of blockchains to me. Yes, there are other things that that blockchains enable, but DeFi is the biggest thing ever. It's got the biggest product market fit for crypto, for blockchains. It has a total addressable market of everyone on earth. Everyone on earth needs a financial system. Everyone on earth needs a money, right? Everyone on earth needs to transact with each other. Ethereum directly enables that in an open and permissionless, decentralized, secure, reliable, global, permissionless way, right? With the Ethereum DeFi economy, with ETH as the decentralized programmable money of that economy. So we should not be scared to do that. But enough ranting about that. As I said, you should go give this post a read. It covers a bunch of different things. I really enjoyed it. So kudos to Vitalik for putting this out there. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to check out. All right, so we have an official Pectra timeline out of the core dev call today. So there's going to be one more DevNet, I believe, launched next week, DevNet 6, just to squash some more bugs. They have proposed some timing on the latest all core devs call to fork over the two testnets. So Sepolia will be forked on February 12th, Holeshki on February 19th, and there is a tentative mainnet date of March 11th. As I said to you guys, mid-March was, I think, or mid to late March was my estimate all the way back when, and we're basically on track to reach that now. So March 11th, as I said, is the tentative date. It is not final, just an ambitious goal, but I mean, if the testnets go well, there's no reason why the mainnet fork for Pectra can't happen on, on March 11th or in March, just generally there. So very, very cool to see that there is a timeline now and that we are very, very close to Pectra being live on mainnet. Now, in terms of what's included in Pectra, I went over that the other day, but I'm going to put a tweet thread out about that soon, which I'll cover on Monday's Refuel. But you guys pretty much already know all the major things that are coming in Pectra, so I don't have to go into too much detail about them. You know, the max EB increase there, the blob increase, the account abstraction EIP. There's a lot. This is Ethereum's biggest upgrade in terms of how many EIPs are included, how many new features are coming, and I can't wait to see it go live on the network there. So thanks Nixo for tweeting this out today. She makes my life easy by tweeting out these kind of summaries of the all core devs call, as well as Christine Kim, by the way. She tweets out these things too and does really detailed write-ups of it. So kudos to them for keeping me updated so I can keep you guys updated. All right, moving on. So there's been a lot of discussion around blobs recently for good reason. Obviously, blobs are the way Ethereum is scaling rollups, and we need more blobs, whether that be through blob increases, or the direct blob increases, or whether that be through things like peer DAS and later on scaling that up from there. We just need more blobs. There's been a lot of discussion lately about changing how we scale blobs, right? So there's one suggestion here from Proto Lambda, one of the original people behind blobs, behind Proto Dank sharding. Proto is his name there. So he's proposed a framework to safely and continuously scale blobs via something called a blob parameter only fork, or a BPO fork. And he describes these as forks that are simple Ethereum forks that only change two parameters, the blob targets and blob limits. BPO forks give Ethereum flexibility to safely scale blobs in smaller, more regular increments, and they give builders confidence that Ethereum will continuously grow its capacity. Ethereum hard forks carry a high operational cost and burden. One goal of BPO forks is to share that burden across L1 and L2 teams. If we can agree on a BPO fork outline, we and other members of the Optimism Collective will lean in as much as possible to help shepherd these forks forward and scale Ethereum. So this is one of the things being proposed. The other thing is that we should make it so that validators can control blobs like they can control the gas limit. I'm not in favor of that, honestly, because I generally don't think that even validators should be in charge of increasing the gas limit. I think that's something that's been left over from basically day one of Ethereum. I don't think it makes sense because, as you see, it's an uphill battle to get the validators to increase their gas limit. We're at like 42% now. I expect that to be at 50% relatively soon, but it's an uphill battle because you have to do this whole coordination game every time. Whereas if we had it as part of like these quick forks, you could imagine like a blob and gas limit increase fork bundled into one, where we increase the blobs by some amount and we increase the gas limit by some amount, and it's just a fork. It doesn't require any coordination beyond getting people to update their clients. Doesn't require us contacting everyone to increase their gas limit and getting them to do it and not be lazy about it. I think that's a better way of doing things. I don't think we should be giving the power of blob increases to validators directly for that reason, but also for another big reason where it can be a little bit plutocratic. And what I mean by that is that you could imagine a world where Coinbase has a lot of validators, right, on the Ethereum network. Coinbase runs an L2 base. They want to scale blobs, so Coinbase scales the blob limit on their validators, and they scale it up a lot, right, to maybe somewhere where a lot of the network can't even handle that. But Coinbase doesn't care because they're like, well, we can handle it, and it's good for Base, so we're going to do it. So you see how that becomes like a misalignment of incentives there, and it becomes plutocratic because of the fact that Coinbase has the money to do this. They have the validators to do this. It's not their validators technically, it's their customers, but they own the validators. Their customers have no control over, and this would be in the terms of service agreement, they have no control over what happens with those validators. They just know that they get to stake their ETH and earn a yield on it. They get some rewards minus the cut that Coinbase takes, and then away you go, right? So I think that going forward, yes, blobs should only be controlled via a fork, blob increases, and maybe potentially we can do the same with gas limit stuff once we, I guess, like deliver some of the other stuff like history expiry, which is coming, first phase is coming May 1st, and a bunch of other things there, rather than leaving it up to the validators. It's just, it really is like tech debt at this point. I don't think it's something that we should keep in the network there. It's just too much of a coordination headache, and it requires like publicly shaming different companies and entities and people, requires a lot of kind of marketing, I guess, and a lot of noise just to achieve something that should be relatively easy to achieve and is in a fork, right? So yeah, I'm in favor of something like this, but you can go give this a read if you want. It's a very short thing here. I mean, it's what I said basically. Just they want to be able to scale blobs faster in smaller forks. I'm totally in favor of that. We can't wait a year for a fork for blobs. Like we're going to go to 6/9 target and max in Pectra. There's no way that we're going to be able to wait a year to increase that to like 9/12 or to integrate peer DAS, right? Like, no, we have to be able to increase blobs faster than that. And this is one of the ideas to do that here. And by the way, from what I know, most of the core developers are very on board with this. Like, no one's necessarily against this. They just want to make sure they're doing it in a safe way so that the network doesn't obviously fall offline, which is always the case with pretty much anything. But yeah, it seems like we're all coalescing around the fact that we need to scale blobs a lot more than what they already are. We need to do it yesterday. So let's push forward on that. All right, so one other thing that I wanted to cover here that I missed the other day is that there's been a lot of discussion around minimum bandwidth requirements for validators or for node operators recently. And as you guys know, this has been something of a tension in the Ethereum community because there are people or some solo stakers on the network that have very little bandwidth. Maybe they have like 5 megabits per second or 10 megabits per second upload, which is the main bandwidth constraint here. And then there's been this whole discussion and debate around, should we be letting these validators hold the network back? And they're not obviously holding the network back on purpose, but it becomes this thing of, well, if 95% or even 99% of the network is able to increase the gas limit or increase the blobs and be fine with it and not have their validators go offline, but 1% would be kicked offline, then it becomes a tyranny of the minority where it's like, well, we shouldn't not make a change just because it's going to affect 1% of the network. Now, I've talked about this before in terms of like solo stakers and solo and home node operators. Obviously, or maybe not obviously, but to me, they are worth a lot more than like a single node operator that controls a single big node operator that controls a lot of validators. But at the end of the day, there has to be a line drawn somewhere. So there has been a lot of discussion around this with Ethereum researchers and developers. There is something here that was said on the call. I think this was I don't know who said this. The quote isn't attributed to anyone, but someone said, given we have inclusion lists, we recommend 25 megabits per second download and upload if you're using MEV boost. If you want to build blocks locally, then we recommend 50 megabits per second download and upload. So the usage of MEV boost is actually something of a huge consideration here, given that if you're not locally building blocks, then you don't have to have as much bandwidth as someone that is locally building blocks, because you basically your validator has less load on it from not locally building the blocks here. But the reason why we want to still keep locally built blocks alive is because of the fact that we have very high centralization with block builders. There's like 5 block builders that essentially control all the blocks that are built, and that's obviously not good for censorship resistance. But with Fossil going live, hopefully soon, not in Pectra, but soon after, that's the inclusion list design. Inclusion list EIP, it becomes less of an issue because it basically means that we don't have to worry too much about censorship resistance generally, and we can still have locally built blocks from maybe the bigger operators and even solo and home stakers that have this bandwidth here in the worst case scenario. Now, the reason why we want to be able to get these bandwidth requirements up from what they are today is so that we can increase the gas limit and so that we can increase blobs, but also this is not a huge thing to ask for. As I've said before about bandwidth, it is not equally distributed across the world. I don't have 50 megabits upload speed. I have like 35 or 40 on a good day, basically, upload. I have like a gigabit download, but I'm on a coaxial, which is the which limits you to, I believe, like 50 megabits per second maximum on upload. But there are people who have, asymmetric gigabit down, gigabit up, right? So essentially what you have is, I guess, like a fragmentation of bandwidth across the globe. We want to keep Ethereum a global network here, but there has to be some kind of line. And it seems like lines are being drawn in the sand here. And it seems like we may lose some home stakers due to this, but it seems like something that the community is just saying, well, we can't hold the network back for the 1% out there. And as shitty as it is, and as much as I wish that wasn't the case, I agree with that. We can't hold the network back because there's no use holding the network back if the users can't even get any use out of it because we're not scaling it for them. And then eventually, if Ethereum doesn't scale, Ethereum dies. Like I believe that as well. But anyway, enough on that one. Just wanted to highlight that for you guys there. All right, so something else that popped up, I think it was yesterday or the day before, was this new Twitter account called the Second Foundation. Now, this is a reference to the Foundation books or Foundation series. I haven't read the books or watched the series, but everyone keeps telling me that it's a reference to that. But it's also something that people have been asking for. They want to see like a second Ethereum Foundation, essentially. Now, there's no info on this just yet. As far as I know, the only info there is that it is something that one of the co-founders of Lido wants to do, and he's been talking about this for a couple of months now. And I remember I replied to him asking him, what would this Second Foundation do? And he gave me a bunch of things that it would do. But yeah, this goes back to what I was saying the other day, where like anyone can do this stuff, guys. Like this is something that literally anyone in the community can do. Right now, Second Foundation does nothing. It's got a Twitter account. It's got a bunch of followers. It posted some kind of things, some Ethereum things here, which is cool to see. Like, don't get me wrong, it's AI generated, obviously. But we don't know what they're going to do yet. And I did message the guy behind this, and I messaged him on Telegram and I said, hey man, like, if you don't need any help with this, I'm happy to help with it, but I don't know what this is yet. I don't even think he knows what it is fully yet, but it's something of a tease of something to come. Maybe there does become a second Ethereum Foundation that does things that the EF doesn't want to do, but that's good. The more the merrier in the Ethereum ecosystem. The more of these entities doing things in the Ethereum ecosystem, the better. So I'm really happy with the community doing more, not just with the second foundation, but also with efforts like Etherealize. I know of a bunch of other efforts happening as well that are still in stealth that will be, I guess, like released publicly later on. But yeah, I'm excited about stuff like this. All right, so in terms of stuff that I'm working on to, I guess, like further the Ethereum ecosystem, not me directly, but like this was kind of my idea. I wanted to create some branding. So this started a few months ago. I wanted to create some branding for Ethereum apps and for the Ethereum ecosystem, not just the apps, but the infrastructure, to basically put on their website to say that they are part of the Ethereum ecosystem. Now, there was actually something like this, similar to this, called Built on Ethereum back in, I think it was like 2019, 2020, the ETH Hub days. Like Eric and I did this, put it together, and apps would actually put like the Built on Ethereum badge or branding on their website. It was really cool to see that. It let people know that my app, my whatever, is built on Ethereum. So I floated this idea with the guys at Kraken, the ones building Ink, right? I floated it with them, and this was, I believe, at DevCon, I think, one of their at their event. And then they just started this group where they're like, yeah, let's do it. And they got their designers on it, and they started spitting out stuff. And I'm like, this is awesome. Originally, we started with secured by Ethereum as the tagline, but then as time went on and as more people joined the group from the ecosystem, especially the L2 Beat guys, because originally I started with the idea of getting this branding on the L2 websites, because I think it was because like Ink didn't have a mention of Ethereum on their website. They had like powered by Optimism or built on Optimism or something, and I was like, okay, I see where this is going. We need to make sure Ethereum stays front of mind here for people. We need to make sure the Ethereum branding stays front of mind. So we started with secured by Ethereum, but the problem with that was that technically a lot of things aren't secured by Ethereum, right? If we think about the L2s, for example, if you're a stage 0 L2, you're not secured by Ethereum. You're secured by a multisig, right? You're secured by other centralization vectors. So essentially, you can't be claimed to be secured by Ethereum. At least that's my view on here. So we wanted to create something more general, and that's why we landed on powered by Ethereum, because we didn't want to say like Ethereum Inside, because as we were inspired by the Intel Inside branding, that was something that actually was an impotence for doing this, but we obviously don't want to copy that. And we don't want to use secured by Ethereum for the reasons I outlined. Built on Ethereum, yeah, it works, but like it also limits us, I think, to a certain extent, and it has been done in the past. So we wanted something fresh and new, and people seem to really resonate with powered by Ethereum. I don't know what the rest of you think about this. Feel free to let me know in the YouTube comments or on the Discord channel. But I had a bunch of people reply to my tweet here where I basically asked for thoughts, which was great to see, and I got so much feedback here. We basically passed it on to the team, and they've been working through it. But I think powered by Ethereum is probably going to stick, just because of the fact that it's very general. It sounds Web 2, which was another goal of this branding, is that I wanted it to sound relatable, because when you hear this as like a regular person, powered by Ethereum, of course you know what that means. Like, this is not something that's hard to understand. It's not like ultrasound money, right? It's like, what the fuck's ultrasound money? No, it's powered by Ethereum. And then the branding itself needed to be very simple, and people seem to really resonate with the top left branding, as you can see on the screen here, and you'll see it if you go to the tweet. I'll link it in the YouTube description below, where it's just basically got the Ethereum logo on the left. It's got powered by Ethereum, and we're going to probably change the E to a capital E in Ethereum rather than the lowercase e here. And it's just simple on a black background or on a white background, and you can stick that on your website to let the world know that you're powered by Ethereum, that there is Ethereum inside, so to speak, right? And it's generalized. As I said, it sounds Web 2, but that's what I was going for with this. So I think we're going to stick with that branding for now in terms of like the wording here. I think we're getting to a point where we may even be finalizing a design, because people really seem to love that top left design there, and it is definitely very simple. It hits on what I wanted to hit on, at least. It's got the Ethereum logo there. It's very very in your face with it, but very powered by Ethereum with it. So I'm going to share, I guess, like updated kind of graphics as time goes on here. But once it's finalized, I would love the community's help in getting this on websites. We need to get this on all the different kind of L2 websites, all the different app websites. We need people to know that what they're using is powered by Ethereum, because I do believe that as time goes on, Ethereum is going to be abstracted away in terms of what the user sees, in terms of like using stable coins for gas, right? Not using ETH for gas directly, because you'll have like gas sponsorships. In terms of the apps wanting to promote their branding to the user, like for example, Uniswap Wallet wants to promote Uniswap to the user and say you're using Uniswap, not you're using Ethereum, for example. So I saw this coming like a while ago, but I wanted to do something about it, and I think we can get them just to put this powered by Ethereum on their website, and I think it counts for a lot, because most people had no idea what Intel Inside meant when they saw it on their computers back in the day. But once you kind of like kept seeing it, was like the subliminal messaging where you're like, okay, well, this computer is like a HP, but it's got Intel inside, right? It's got Intel in here. And that became a marker for a premium product where it's like, okay, Intel inside, I want that, right? Even if it wasn't the premium product, or even if it wasn't the best thing, you would associate premium products with the Intel branding. So branding is incredibly important here. So that's why that's what I want out of this. I want people to associate the products that they're using with Ethereum and with that kind of premium feel and premium looks. Like, yes, I'm on Ethereum. The thing that I'm using is powered by Ethereum. I'm in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm not in some other ecosystem here. So yeah. Anyway, I'll keep you guys updated on that one there. But you can check out the current iterations of the logo if you want. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so. All right, speaking of Inc, they're already at stage 1 decentralization. They went live like what, a few weeks ago on mainnet? I think it was around Christmas time, and they're already at stage 1 decentralization, which is absolutely massive. And as Fwiz says here, this is the power of the OP stack plus OP governance. Essentially, you can just go to stage 1 because you're just inheriting what the OP stack already has. And I hope Base goes stage 1 soon. They're not stage 1 yet. They need to get there. Honestly, the fact that Inc beat them to the punch is quite funny, considering that Inc is very new, much smaller right now. And just a reminder, Inc is Kraken's layer 2 for those of you who don't know. But yeah, they're already at stage 1 decentralization, which is obviously awesome to see. They're still quite small as an ecosystem, but they're growing, and they're growing fast. This is obviously going to be Kraken's on-chain kind of effort here. And I've spoken about Inc a bunch of times before, and about the fact that this was a no-brainer for Kraken to do, to follow Coinbase here. But I did say that the difference is that I think like with Inc, they definitely started more kind of degen, but they also started from like the place of, we want to get to stage 1, stage 2 very, very quickly, and they're walking the walk as well. I know Base has been like Jesse from Base and stuff have been saying the same thing. They want to get there very quickly, but it is a competitive advantage to decentralize, guys. Like it very much is, because if Inc got to stage 2, for example, and became like a fully decentralized layer 2, I would move a lot of money there, and I would make Inc my like home basically. And I know a lot of other people would. The reason why I haven't moved a lot of money into layer 2s just yet, especially Base and even Arbitrum 1, is because they're not fully decentralized yet. Arbitrum 1 is stage 1, and they've been that for a while, so kudos to them. But I can't, like, not that I don't trust the teams or anything like that, but like, I'm not going to bridge in all of my ETH, all the ETH I don't have staked, and all of my other tokens, and all of my other money that I've got on mainnet, when I don't have guarantees around those funds. Well, on Ethereum mainnet, I have like the strongest guarantees that I can get around those funds, right? But on L2s, I don't right now. So once they reach stage 2, I'm more than happy to bridge in a lot of money. And this is true for a lot of the friends that I have that have a lot of money as well. They're like, I want to play more on L2s, but I just don't trust it right now. I can't, because it's stage 0s is the worst, basically. It's the most centralized. But even at stage 1, it's better not there just yet. So once they get to stage 2, I do believe that it's a competitive advantage. I do believe it's a way to get their TVL up and their activity up. So hopefully they get to stage 2 sooner rather than later, but we'll see how it goes there. All right, last up here, Liquity V2 is now live on Ethereum mainnet. You can borrow on your own terms with user-set interest rates, which is something that I believe other protocols have tried in the past, but I don't know how much success they've had. And this was explained to me at DevCon how this actually works. I've totally forgotten how it works under the hood. I remember bits and pieces of it, but I don't want to kind of give the wrong information here. But obviously, you can go to Liquity's website and check this out for yourself. But essentially, you'll be able to also also stake the Liquity token to direct protocol incentivize liquidity. So you'll be able to get rewards here, or basically direct where rewards go, participate in the wider V2 friendly fork ecosystem. And the cool thing about this is that Liquity is truly decentralized in that they encourage other people to build front ends for Liquity. They encourage other protocols to fork Liquity onto their own networks and then just send a percentage of their revenue back to the Liquity ecosystem here. And they've had a lot of success with that. But with V2, the main feature is those user set interest rates. So if you wanted to set your own borrow rate to like 1%, for example, you can do that. Or if you want to have it at like 10%, you can do that as well. There is a mechanism in place. As I said, I don't remember exactly how it works, so I don't want to butcher it here, but there is a mechanism in place, and a very cool mechanism. I remember it being explained to me and thinking how cool it was, that explains how this actually works under the hood and how the protocol can actually remain solvent and how things don't break, etc., etc. But I just thought it was a really cool idea and something newer in DeFi that hasn't really, it has been tried before, but not in this way, and definitely not at scale. So kudos to Liquity for getting V2 out there. I know this has been in the works for quite a while now. Obviously, a lot of hard work has gone into this. You guys should go check this out if you haven't yet. One of the Liquity team members, Sam_L, is very active in the Daily Gwei Discord channel. Actually, he's there if you tag him. So if you want to ask questions about Liquity V2, I'm sure he wouldn't mind you tagging him in the Daily Gwei Discord channel. So you can just go at Sam_L, and he has Liquity next to his name, and you can tag him and ask him whatever questions you want, and he'll be happy to answer them there. But I think on that note, that's going to be it for today. So thank everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all on Monday. Thanks, everyone.